Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Yes. Hey. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. We in the building. Oh, how is everyone?
welcome to the Holistic Brown Mamas podcast.
Yes, we are here pretty laid back today. We have a pretty fun discussion today. We are chatting all about mamahood, pre and post pandemic, surviving parenting in the pandemic.
That's what we do. You survive parenting. It's a mission.
I was gonna say that's really what it is, right? So for those of you who have never joined one of our live streams, we are the Holistic Brown Mamas.
That's
So
right.
I'm gonna actually switch it because normally you're like, I'm Cece, and I'm Sarah, but now I'm Sarah.
And I'm Cece.
And we are in episode 5. If you guys have missed an episode, go on back. You've missed a lot of great conversations. But today is going to be a little less structured, a little more chill. And we are just going to have a mama chat about parenting and what I call a panoramic. Okay. Because,
Get the whole
exactly.
picture.
A panoramic, a pepperoni, whatever you want to call it. As you can see, we both are hydrating.
Yes.
Y'all drink your water today. If not, go get you a bottle right now.
Mm-hmm.
All
It's Fun
right.
Friday. So we're just
Exactly.
gonna relax. Take it
It's
easy today.
funny. I feel like we both are very like, hey,
It's a
it's kind of
mellow day.
it is. It is. Uh, let's do our mama check-in. How you doing, girl? Happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday to you. I'm good. It's been a fun week, a fun couple of weeks. And
Good.
yeah, so the new thing with us is that we finally joined a CSA, which is something I wanted to do from like last year, but we were too
Yay.
late. Um, Community supported agriculture. So a
I was gonna
CSA
say,
allows,
tell the people what a
yeah, let the
CSA
people
is.
know what's a
Yes.
CSA. 'Cause I surely had to figure it out. But yeah, so it's community supported agriculture where you basically support a local farm and you pay a certain amount of money. And then for the one I joined every week, you get a certain amount of produce.
Yep.
And our farm has an egg share too. So we get a dozen eggs and they're like, nice with the deep yellow yolk. So, those chickens were eating good.
Yep.
Um, But yeah, it's really been fun to drive out there and go get our food and like have things that are really super fresh and different things. And they send us recipes that we can try with the food and it helps us to be more creative.
Nice.
So before we get started, guys, Sarah was watching me eat, which is usually what I'm doing right before we get started. Sarah gets to watch me eat every week. Um, but my husband is very creative. He knows that I'm vegetarian, so he always makes some fun dishes. So he just like, and usually when I get the produce, I wash it, put it in the refrigerator, so it's right there, ready to go. So he just like threw together all these different veggies and made me like a cabbage
Yeah.
slaw, and then he made me like some sautéed vegetables, which people are probably like, so you have vegetables and vegetables? Yeah, I had vegetables with vegetables, and it was delicious. So it was really nice.
It looked good. I was like, send me a plate, girl. That looks good. Come on, hubby, with the cooking.
He came through. It was very colorful, very vibrant. So,
Yes, yes. That's
but that's
awesome.
that's what's going on over here. That was my exciting news since the last time we talked. I'm like, very excited about the CSA. How about
That's
you?
exciting. Good. The CSA is exciting. We belonged to one when we lived in Chicago. And then I never really got into it here in San Diego for whatever reason. So when I go back to South Carolina, I'm definitely going to look into that.
Hmm.
But it's been a busy couple of weeks over here. So last Friday was Chris and I's anniversary. Yay! We were together. We've been together 8 years and have been married for 5. So that was fun. We finally went out and went to a restaurant. We had dinner, and it was our first time being out. Probably maybe a year and a half. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So it was good. And then yesterday, I was finished with my last shift ever as a student clinician. So next Friday, I will be Dr. Sarah Ellis. Ah,
We're gonna be like introducing.
right.
But not
Yeah,
yet. One more week.
right. Next time y'all see me, you can call me doctor.
That's right.
Yay. So that's really what I've been up to. So I'm honestly chilling. I got a chance to sleep in today. I got a couple more chart notes I need to like put in the system really quick, and then I'm done. Mm, 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 mm,
But that's awesome because getting through even just any regular school program is super exciting. But to get through a program where you're working on, becoming a doctor of whatever you're
yes.
studying, that's like serious business. You know what I mean? It's not like a walk in
Yeah,
the park.
exactly. It's honestly been the hardest outside of being pregnant and having children, giving birth. It's been the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
So,
always worth it. It's always worth it.
yeah, and it's funny you mention that because I mean it's hard in general, but then I had to do it in a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of our girlfriends and mamas who are listening, y'all had to really live and raise children and work and do 5,000 different things in the middle of a global pandemic. Like, let's
Mm-hmm.
just sit and think about how insane that is, you know? And let's reflect on our strength as women and as mamas. Because we know if it was up to the daddies, y'all know it'd have been a mess, okay? No shade to the daddies because y'all's day is this Sunday, so I'm not gonna be
I
too
know
shady.
we're gonna be very loving to the
Yes,
daddies.
very loving because I honestly could not have made it without my husband, but still. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mamas
So
are different. Mamas are different.
we are. So let's talk about kind of why we wanted to have this episode.
Yeah, because we've all been kind of going through this new way of living, which, has many, good sides to it. And there's also been some very difficult things going on. And
Yeah,
just figuring out how to do it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, the nice thing is that many of us were, I would guess, if you're on this show watching, that you're at least somewhat aware of technology, but
yeah,
the learning curve had to like really jump up, learning curve on like how to do your job from home, or how to do your job and not get sick and
yes,
then not make
exactly,
everybody in your house sick. And then like learning how
exactly.
to do the kids stuff when
Yeah,
the only environment that they know is totally different. I mean, I'm an 80s baby. I'm not gonna tell you how far back in the 80s, but anyway, I'm an 80s baby. So, we didn't have all of these things. So yeah, I'm used to
mhm,
like playing outside with
yep,
whatever I could get my hands on, making mud pies and stuff. But these
yeah,
kids, it's a different lifestyle for them. And you know, they had to learn how to live in the pandemic too, and it was stressful for everyone.
yeah,
Some people handled it super well, some people handled it not so well, but we're all here, we're all pushing and trying to make
yeah,
it work.
yeah, absolutely. I think a good thing about society is that, and about the pandemic, is that it has forced us to discuss the weight that women, and particularly Black women, carry around. Sorry, did
I
y'all
didn't
hear
hear
that?
anything, but I saw your head turn. I was like, something's happening.
I'm in my son's room and I play meditation music while he's sleeping. And I forgot that this meditation music has a moment where he's like, now take a deep breath and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, who the hell? Oh,
Who
okay.
is talking to me?
Who is speaking to me right now? But it's important that these conversations be brought to the forefront about all of the different hats that women have had to wear, and the fact that I forget the number, but there was such a huge percentage of women who left the workforce during the pandemic because, who was going to watch their children? Who was going to take care of their home? And I think it's time for us to have that discussion on the impact that that has had on women and particularly Black women. So that's what we wanted to just have this check in this chat today.
Yeah.
So let's first talk, before we can talk about the struggles and the difficulties of parenting in the pandemic, let's talk about our parenting styles. So that way we can talk more about how things have affected us. So for me, and I think Cece and I know for a fact that Cece and I have a lot of similarities in parenting. But my husband and I follow more of a positive, gentle parenting. So we do our best not to yell at our kids. We don't put our hands on them. Um, we actually have them very interactive in the things we do on a day to day basis. And we kind of raise them as like little people and, honor their humanity and them as children. So imagine how less challenging it was when your child was going to school and you had this routine, and now everything is done at home. Everyone is at home at the same time. That could be pretty challenging and really kind of tested my limits on the positive parenting, gentle parenting role, but I think I hung in there pretty well.
Well, and on top of that, you were pregnant. So
Yes, how did I forget
the
that?
ability to tolerate things is a little different when your hormones are like in a different state. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. And I was pregnant with a girl, and I don't know if any other girl moms can relate, but I feel like my hormones were on 20, like snappy, mean. I was not here for the foolishness, okay? My patience was like this. So yeah, how would you describe your parenting style?
Very similar. We practice like attachment parenting, and we try to really create an environment where the child, like you said, the child's humanity and their personality and their uniqueness is honored, as opposed to trying to be in control of the child. Which doesn't mean you let your child be out of control, but you don't spend as much time trying to fit them into the way you think they should be. You try to get to know who they are and then follow their interests. You kind of follow the child's lead while giving them guidance and direction to keep them from getting too overwhelmed with things and from getting too, well, basically out of control where their behavior is out of line. We don't believe in putting our, well, I don't believe in putting hands on children, even though my husband and I both kind of grew up in a households with traditional Southern upbringing. So my husband
Because
is
we
very
don't spoil the rod,
accepting.
right?
Right, right. Like if you spare the rod, spoil the child. I mean, literally, my father said that to me last night because he was witnessing an exchange between me and my child. But and just for the side note, no one knows what the rod was. It could have been metaphorical. Everybody takes all these other things from the Bible and scripture as, oh, this is a metaphor, but they're like, no, the rod was a real rod. Beat him. Like,
Right,
what? What? But
right,
anyway, but anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone. Um, but so bringing my family and everyone around into that mindset. Okay, well, we don't practice putting our hands on the child, or we don't practice yelling and raising our voice at the child. It doesn't mean that we never raise our voice or anything like that, but we do try to be more conscious of how we're speaking, because children have the same emotional response, if not greater, to being yelled at than adults do, because children have not developed the emotional capacity to know what to do with all those emotions and feelings. They don't know the names of those emotions. They don't know, all these experiences are happening for them and they're new. So we try to practice conscious parenting and really being treating people or treating children as little people, not
yeah,
as I don't know, like these little things that you're trying to control, letting them
right.
be human beings who have a range of emotions and desires.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's been challenging for sure, but also kind of cool. And I think we should dedicate an episode on our experience as Black women who practice positive parenting. And then we can get into things we've heard from family,
Yeah.
challenges in that area. I feel like that's a whole episode.
Yeah.
So what were some of the parenting challenges you experienced in the pandemic?
Now, for me, things weren't. terribly challenging because my husband and I both had the kinds of jobs where we had to continue working. So our
Mhm.
routine stayed the same, and our little one stays at home with us anyway. Um, so that piece wasn't really that big a deal for us, but the challenge that I dealt with was going out into public spaces because I was
Yeah.
not comfortable. I was like, nah, I'm not taking my kid out. Like, I need to know more about what we're dealing with before we do that. And then my husband and I went out less. So I guess the biggest change was how we did our socializing and our entertainment. You know, we didn't go see family.
Mhm.
We weren't, going to do play dates. We weren't going to the grocery store and naming the foods there and picking up and counting and doing the stuff we had been doing before.
Yeah.
Um, I learned how to shop for things online that I never thought I'd shop for online because I was like, why would I have them deliver me groceries?
Exactly.
I want to pick my own fruit.
Yes.
But it turns out other people can pick pretty decent fruit, so it's not that big a deal. I was tripping. But yeah, so that was the change, and finding other ways to make life enriching where, okay, we may not go to the store, but maybe we can go outside because it wasn't like we go to the playground either. So
Yeah.
doing things in the backyard, so gardening, and that's because we have a backyard. I have family in New York City, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, you can't leave your apartment. You don't even have a balcony. You don't even have like a fire escape to go play. Like, they
Yeah.
were just inside. So like
Yeah.
that was just unfathomable. I felt very blessed that I had access to open spaces that no one could tell me not to be in because it's my space.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, so I think the most difficult thing was figuring out, like, how do you socialize your child in an environment where they're being told not to be social.
Yeah, exactly. Um, for us, so it's funny, we are in California, and Governor Newsom was one of the first governors to shut everything down. And when I tell you he shut everything down, he was like, clink, clink, lockdown. You better not crack that door open if you want to.
Right,
Stay in your house.
this is
Okay.
the police, close
Exactly.
your door, right? I just wanted to get the carry out and bring it in.
And so literally, the shutdown happened the day we were leaving from our spring break to go visit my family in South Carolina. So we were just kind of like, well, we'll see if they'll let us back. So it turns out that what was supposed to be a one week trip, we stayed there for 3 months. So it was challenging. It was challenging in the sense that we were now a family of three in my parents' home, but it was awesome because our son got to spend more time with my parents. I got to do all of my classwork and clinic work like online through telehealth. Um, but then like I guess maybe a month into quarantine, I found out I was pregnant. So I was like, yay, quarantine baby. And then, oh, how am I gonna do this? Now I have to like go to doctor's offices by myself. And like, um, you know, I'm in healthcare. So, and I'm also pregnant, and that makes me immunocompromised. So do I go into clinic? How do I protect myself and protect my baby? And so that was really challenging. So after the 3 months, we moved back to California because I had an in-person shift. And so, you kind of understand because you're in healthcare, you're like, okay, do I still go in to like take care of my patients? Do I just opt for virtual, two masks and a face shield? Like what what do I do? So fortunately Roman's daycare was still open because
They're
he
considered essential, right?
yeah, exactly. And a lot of the doctors were they had their children in the daycare, so they had the daycare open specifically for healthcare providers. So that was awesome because at least he got a chance to socialize with some children. He had his same structure. He went to daycare, got to play outside. Like at least he had some semblance of normalcy. But you know, I definitely felt for parents whose children were not in school or in daycare because yeah, how do you socialize them? How do you kind of incorporate the different modes of learning that you were doing before. Like, for example, like you said, going to the grocery store, you could identify colors and count and do all this stuff. And yeah, you can do that at home, but counting the same blocks all day, like, that gets old. So, yeah, that was really challenging. Parenting in the pandemic, trying to stay healthy, trying to keep your family healthy, and then also being pregnant on top of that. Yeah, that was not any fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how did you kind of work through those parenting challenges and like
Mm,
challenges like with the whole family, trying to keep everybody healthy? Because
yeah,
um, as we talked about in a previous episode, moms make most of the healthcare decisions. It's Dr.
yeah,
Mom. So it's like, what did mom decide we're going to do? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Although now on dad's side, I'm gonna guess that a lot of dads probably were like, you're not going anywhere, you're going somewhere, like just deciding who's going out and who isn't. But when it came to like what should we have in the house, what should we have
yes,
on deck in case somebody gets like what should we do, that kind of thing, it was
yes.
probably moms making that decision most of the time.
For sure, especially in our household. So for me, when we first moved there, I first went to South Carolina. I hopped on my dispensary, my online dispensary, and I got like all the
All the
vitamin
things.
C, yes, all the things, all the immune support because I knew it was gonna sell out because everyone was freaking out, didn't know
Yeah.
what to do. So I got all of these herbs and tinctures and all this kind of stuff. And thankfully, our family and my parents were really, really good about staying home, or if they did go out, they like we like Lysoled our shoes before we got in the house, like washed our hands, changed our clothes. It was crazy. But then when we got back to California, I did go in person, even though I was, I think at that point, maybe like 5 or 6 months pregnant. But I did like the mask, I did the face shield, I kept my distance, and I just focused on making sure that we were as healthy as we could be. So eating good food. Um, Thankfully, stress was kind of low because there was no traffic. Don't y'all
Oh
miss
my God, let me
pre-pandemic
tell
traffic?
you, I heard people talk about California because I mean, I'm not in a highly polluted area, so but like I've heard that like California, people were like, there's trees over there. There's mountains over there. Did you guys know there was mountains? Like people were just seeing stuff that the smog, like they never even knew the stuff was over there. So yeah, like
It's like,
all the traffic went down. It was like a whole new
yes.
world.
It's funny you say that because the thing that I noticed the most was the stars. Like Chris and I always take walks at night once the kids are down and like my mom is here to watch the kids. And I'm like, damn, there's a whole bunch of stars out here. I've never noticed that. But nobody was driving. There wasn't any pollution, you know. The stars are like shining, shining, like, hey y'all, we're actually up here. You can see
Like
us.
we've been here the whole time. Sorry.
Right. Right. So yeah, I enjoyed the new changes that came with the pandemic. So like no traffic, praise God. Look, when I tell you, I know Amazon Fresh could not stand us because every week I'm ordering my groceries. I'm sorry you have to lug these 10 bags of groceries, but I need them. So I did the grocery shopping online, um, and really just took advantage of our apartment complex. We live in a huge complex. So Roman and I would go walking, we point out the flowers and all that kind of stuff. So we just made do with what we had, but most importantly, we relied on our village, and we're really lucky to have a village. Because I
Mhm.
know a lot of people, like single mamas, like y'all get all of the praise, all the accolades. Because, honey, I don't know how y'all do it day in and day
Yes.
out. No one to like help you get a break. Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely need breaks once in a while.
Yeah, yeah. Especially in the pandemic when if can you imagine working from home? Say you work from home where you have to talk on the phone, and then you have a toddler or maybe a school age child who's on Zoom. And I mean, I don't expect a child to know how to work mute and unmute because I know adults that still don't mute in a Zoom meeting or get to talking and they on mute. Like,
Hmm.
I can't imagine the stress that has caused women and families.
I mean, I remember even one time visiting my parents and my like this was this year, but my husband and I were fussing a little bit. And my niece is explaining to her class, that's just my aunt and uncle. They're having a disagreement. I'm like, yeah, yeah, that happens.
And it's just so funny because I remember seeing an article about a mom who she had just gotten out the shower and just absentmindedly walked in front of her son's computer while he was on Zoom. And I'm like, damn, you can't even get dressed in peace. Now you got to be
Right?
mindful of like, is my baby on the screen? Is his camera on? Lord Jesus, now the children is just seeing all the things like.
Yeah, and like your child is used to whatever happens in your household, so it's nothing to them. But the other children are like, wait a minute, your aunt and uncle and they're just fussing like that? Oh, your mama just gonna walk through bucky naked like that? Like that's how we do? This is how our household works. Like,
Exactly. Sorry, don't judge us.
but like, like trying to like make the house look appropriate for your Zoom with your
Hmm.
kid. Like, you're just gonna sit in
Yes,
this corner with the
exactly.
wall behind you, and they won't see the chaos over here. Like,
Exactly. Yes. Look, Zoom has come through with these backgrounds, like, because
and
y'all
like,
know this ain't my background, but I'm not. I'm not. You don't want to see what's back here. Um, but yeah, I think that it was important for me as a mother to provide as much structure as possible for my baby. And he's not a baby, he's a whole little young man. But structure was important, and it didn't just help him, but it helped me because I was already juggling 10,000 different things, and I just needed to be as simple as possible. That's it. So tell me what you did to kind of help
um,
you make it through and cope.
yeah, we did the same thing with the vitamins. I was like, we need all the vitamins. I need the herbs from here. I need to have these leaves. Gone ahead and let me order these medicinal foods to grow in my garden. Like I was like, I gotta have everything. Then I was like, annoyingly text messaging my entire family, like the grands, the aunties, the cousins. Y'all need to make sure you get this stuff.
Yeah,
Y'all need to make sure if something happens to you, you ask for this when you get to the hospital.
exactly.
Because it was important to me to make sure that everybody was prepared because nobody knew what to do. And as
Yeah,
information came out, I wanted to be ready.
yeah, yeah.
So, I wanted to make sure that my husband's back here crinkling this bag. Shh, you don't have to clean up, leave the mess. Just leave it. He's being a good husband. But yeah, so I was trying to make sure everybody knew, what to do. And as I got
Yeah,
more information being tapped in, I would give that information to them. So that way, it made me feel better
yeah,
as, knowing that like, as we talked about in a previous episode too, that like a lot of Black people were still working because the types
yeah.
of jobs that we have, whether it's CNA, nurse, working in the hospital, working
Mm-hmm.
at the like
Grocery
what you call it, a
store.
sales job, so working at the
Yeah,
grocery store, working
retail.
at retail job. Like we still, a lot of us still had to go to work,
Yeah,
um and in the midst of still going to work we had to figure out like, okay, luckily, like I'm thinking about my parents and my brother, like somebody was always home to make sure
yeah,
that my niece could be, doing her programs. But everybody doesn't have that support system, so it's like, okay, I got to figure out how I'm going to get to work. I got to figure out how, if I lost my job, how I'm going to wait in this line for this, free food that I
yes,
can get, while I still have to make sure my kid is in school. So maybe they're doing school in the backseat of the car while I'm in
yeah,
line trying to get this food from this church. There was just a lot of things going on. So it was important to me to make sure that everybody had the information that they needed. And then after that, I started working on making sure that we had the right gear.
yeah,
So, I was like, we got dreadlocks, cover up your locks. We ain't gonna wash these joints every day.
yeah.
So making sure we had like the head coverings, making sure we had our masks and our like body suit covering things. Like we had all the things, and it was a hot mess. Um, and then as far as making sure that we still did the educational things, I started buying, different books and things that we could use at home, and getting on some of these Facebook groups and finding out like, hey, what YouTube channels are your kids watching? Like what can we do to continue to keep the education going and then keep everybody thriving? And then when it came to the socialization, like really saying, you know what, let's leverage all of this stuff. So I was like, let me get a Zoom account. Let me holler at these cousins over here. Let me holler at, this child over here. And then it was a lot of Zooming, because I was worried, like, okay, if you're not seeing your grandparents, will you recognize them when we actually get to go back around them? So that was tremendous, because when we did actually get together as a family, sorry, I talk with my hands a lot, y'all. When we actually got together as a family, everybody knew everybody. There was no hesitancy, because with young children, sometimes
Yeah.
they're like, no, you can't hug me, and no, I don't
Right.
want to talk to you. Can you just give me the candy that you're holding and get out of my face?
Right,
So like,
basically.
I see you trying to give me food, but I just want the food, not you. Like, don't touch me.
Right,
But
exactly.
but we did every like birthday, every holiday, we were online. It was in fact,
Yeah.
I don't know that my family has ever talked as much. My extended family, my aunts, uncles, grandparents, we got grandpads for both of my grandparents. Like,
Wait,
we
what is
were
a grandpad?
a grandpad is like an iPad, but it's not an iPad, it's grandpad for your grandparents, that like you, as long as they have Wi-Fi, or you can get the one that has the data in it already.
Yeah.
Um, you can send pictures of the kids or the rest of the family, and it just scrolls through on their thing. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to have any skills. And
Come
then you go to
on.
the
My
back
daddy.
office and you right. It's so easy. It's so easy. And the icons are like big, like boom. Did you want to make a phone call? This is the phone call icon. Like it's huge. And like, my granny, who is like up there, was able to take pictures of her pet and like share them with us. I was like, where did she learn to take pictures? But whatever. I'm sure one of her daughters taught her. But it was a really nice device that allowed us to like face to face chat, because like, my grandfather had an iPhone. He could not do an iPhone video call to save his life. But on this grandpad thing, all we had to do was call him. Like, we program all the numbers in. All he has to do is push the person's like name, and he can push the call symbol or the camera symbol. So it was really, really nice, because when we went to do visits, everybody was known. It wasn't a bunch of strangers. But like I said, I don't think my family interacted this much. Like, the pandemic brought us closer together. We interacted
I
more than
love
we ever
that.
had. I mean,
Yeah,
we were
I love
playing
that.
games online, like categories. Categories is like our thing now. Like, that
What?
is our game. So yeah, it was
I
really
love
fun.
that.
I'm gonna have to break out the
Yeah.
hashtags like you said the other day, because I feel like we can do that virtually too. So
Yes. Come on, Grandpa. Psh, I think I don't find my daddy's Father's Day gift. That sounds amazing. But that's such a good perspective to have, because I think a lot of times when we talk about parenting and motherhood and families during the pandemic, it's always so like heavy, like, and because it was a terrible, tremendously terrible thing, but there were so many benefits that came out of that. Things are more accessible. um like you said, family where you might have seen each other once or twice a year at big holidays, now it's so easy to just Zoom really quick and everybody hop in and sing happy birthday to this person.
mm-hmm.
So it definitely brought us closer together.
Yeah.
So then, what about how are you going to adjust your parenting going forward now that things are opening up and people ditching the masks? I think I
Yes.
might keep mine on. I don't know, because people like to lie.
Well,
Damn well you ain't had no vaccine.
well, I'll tell you. The biggest thing that, with things opening up more, is just getting to go to the playground. I feel
Yeah,
like that is such a lovely experience.
yeah,
Like, our libraries are still doing virtual stuff for the kids, and
yeah.
I'm not quite ready. Okay, so kids are just a little gross. So I just
Just a
feel
little.
like they're adorable, right? But they don't have good hygiene. And I work with seniors, so I'm always teasing my seniors. I'm like, look, now I don't want to have to talk to you like I talk to my son. Now get in there and wash those hands. But But like kids are like a little bit gross, and not gross
Yeah.
because they're gross, but gross because they don't have awareness of the hygiene stuff that they need to do.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I just feel like, my seniors who I work with and then my, little one, and getting him and other people around each other is like something that's important to me. Um, but I really, really have pushed hard with hygiene with my, the people who I work with, and
Yeah.
then the people who I'm around in my life and with my little one. It's like, now we need to really push this hygiene stuff. So I'm not ready to go back into, like library situations just yet
Yeah.
because it's like closed in and it's indoors, and
Yeah.
I'm not quite ready for that. Um, but outdoor situations, I'm all for it, and I'm fine with restaurants as long as I know that the restaurants are kind of well. I think things are going back to regular capacity in most places now.
Spirit
So
taking. Mm.
yeah, I won't say that I'm like super afraid of things like that, but I will say that like I know that I'm going to be like, this person seems to be coughing. I'll be a little bit more like careful about this. Okay, I'm not going to touch every chair as I walk to the table. But
Yep.
children do stuff like they're like, blah, 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 blah. I'm just tapping all the chairs as I walk by. Look at that. Look at that. I touched everything. And now I'm going to lick my hand. Why? Because I can. It's mine. So stuff like that makes me a little leery. But I've been
Yeah.
like that before the pandemic. I was like that.
Yeah.
So I always have something like, let's just wipe your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm
Always.
like, I would rather you eat dirt than you lick this chair. Okay, go eat some dirt. Okay,
Exactly.
because at least the dirt is outside. Like,
Yes.
so that's probably something that will change for me. Is like
Yeah.
we're back to going to the grocery store, and I'm comfortable with that. We're back to going to the playground. I'm comfortable with play dates, because the people who I'm around, I can feel comfortable asking them questions and like, what are you
Yeah.
comfortable with? Do you want to do the play date outside? Do you want to do
Yeah.
this inside? You know, um, so those things that go back to normal. Now I've, been of the mindset of homeschooling anyway, so that type
Yeah.
of thing is going to change for me.
Yeah.
Um, and that's a personal choice. Just, I feel like there are things that, are important for children of color to learn. And I don't know if those things are always taught depending on where you live. If you live in a
Yeah.
very, Afrocentric, a group of a high Hispanic population, or if you're in a area where you're with your, native tribe and stuff like that, you probably are getting a lot of those things. But I
Yeah.
know from my upbringing, I did not get a lot of education about my people in school. And it's important to me that my child isn't getting reinforced racism in class that is subtle, where you don't see a black
Yeah.
face in the textbook unless they're in chains.
Yes.
So things like that, there are subtle things. Anyway, this is a whole nother show, but there are things that I feel are subtly taught to children that you don't realize is affecting your psyche.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason why I've decided to, focus on homeschooling. But still, even when you're homeschooling, you're looking at the socialization and the interaction and field trips and doing things. So I'm comfortable going out to like
Yeah.
children's activities and things like that. I just be woo woo. What are you
Yeah.
touching? And
Yeah.
this is something that was funny for me. I'm not real big on little bitty kids wearing masks because I feel like it's not good for their respiratory system. But
Yeah.
bigger kids, if they have a mask on, they won't put their hands in their mouth because they
Yeah.
can't. And
Exactly.
I was like, I like this. But I mean, I'm not going to be crazy about it. But I mean, that's kind of where I am. I feel like
Yeah.
not a whole lot has changed for me because I was a bit of a homebody to begin with. Like if
Me
I could work from
too.
home, I would do it.
Honey, listen, I was like, it was blown up with telehealth. So I'm like, yes, of course I'm doing a telehealth.
Praise the
Why
Lord
wouldn't
for the
I?
telehealth because
Yes.
everybody knew it could be done. Now, because I have to put my hands on my people, I can't do telehealth. But when I'm working with people who are just working on like cognitive issues, we can do those things online. Or if you're
Mm-hmm.
just working with life coaching and lifestyle changes, nutrition and stuff, that I can do telehealth. But when it comes to people with pain and balance problems, those people I needed to
Yeah.
rely on.
Yeah. I think for me, what am I going to be doing differently going forward? Um, I think the pandemic has shown me that, and it's shown a lot of people that there are so many different ways to learn. That even though virtual school has not been a good fit for a lot of children, it's been wonderful for other children.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's helped me and given me a little bit more confidence in really customizing my children's education.
Yeah.
So, our education philosophy really ties in well with Montessori. So for
Oh,
now,
Lord.
for the next like year, maybe year and a half, we are going to do like a Montessori homeschool situation, um, which we could also do another episode about that because I know that, I mean, there's so many awesome like Instagram profiles and Facebook groups for melanated moms who want to focus on homeschool with a Montessori spin on it. So that's gonna be my next venture,
Yeah.
homeschooling. Which he's 2.5 now. What is it? Colors, letters, shapes. Which half of that he already knows, and he's actually outside my door. Like, that's okay, guys. That's been the hardest part of working from home. Is like my child is relentless. I hear my husband outside the door, like, she's busy, he's fine. And he's just like, I don't care because she's in there. And if she's in there, I need to be there.
It's
He
where
probably.
I want to be.
Exactly. And my husband and my mom were just like trying to corral him. And honey, he don't care. He's like, my mother is in that room and I'm not with her. And I will bust this door down if I have to.
You know what's funny is that like if you're in the house, it's like a major issue. But if you leave, it's like, oh well, she's gone. I'll play with
Honey,
everybody else. It's fine.
I can't tell you how many times he has pushed me out that door.
Hmm.
Like, I'm like, Roman, can you close the door behind me? He's like, say
Boom.
this. You better be out the door, okay? You're going to lose a finger. But in the house, I swear my child has a low jack on me. I swear. I'll be in the bathroom. We have 2 doors to our bathroom because without getting into details, my apartment complex thought they was doing something. We have 1 1/4 bath, not a half bath, a quarter
Never heard
bath.
of a quarter bath.
So I locked I locked the regular bathroom door and I'm like, cool, I'm fine. And then I look, I'm like, what are you doing in here? He had opened the second, he went through the bedroom into the side bathroom and was like, gotcha, mommy. And I'm like,
It was
wow,
like, in case
wow.
you didn't realize that I'm smart enough to figure this out. You need to lock both doors. Thank you.
Exactly. But before all of that, I was saying that we're gonna do the Montessori homeschooling and really just embracing customizing my child's education. I think that we have been programmed to think that the only way the education can happen is sitting in a classroom at a desk for 7 hours.
Yeah.
And that's just not true. It's
Yeah,
just not
and
true.
oftentimes it's not developmentally appropriate for certain children. Some
Yes.
children can do it, but some children it's not developmentally appropriate for them. So,
Yeah, yeah. So, post pandemic, it's going to just look like a lot of exploration. Um, I'm thinking about it in the sense of just really getting to know my children,
hmm.
what they like, what they don't like, what subjects they're crazy about, what other subjects they're just like, I could do without, and really just customizing that
Hmm.
for them. Um, so that's really just going to be it. And figuring out parenting 2 children now because my daughter will be 6 months in like 2 weeks, I think, which I can't even wrap my head around. But yeah, just watching them two interact with each other and yeah, figuring out how to be a doctor and a mom of 2 at
Yeah.
home. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. I find that when you have a little bitty baby, it's like every month something is exciting and new. And then as your child
Yeah.
gets older, it's like, oh, every like quarter, every 6 months, you're like, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that.
Yes.
Wow, you remember that? We haven't talked about that in like X amount of, you know what I mean? And
Yes.
it's just fun. Or like you said, like following their lead and saying, wow, this kid really is into whatever. And
Yeah.
then, making their learning cater to that. I find that when you're doing that, it gives the child so much more self-esteem as opposed to
Yeah.
when they're in a classroom and they get something that they're not that interested in, and then they may misbehave, or they, and
Yes.
then, then the labels come, and then, look at this
Yes.
little black child acting such and such a kind of way.
Mm, let's talk
Because
about it.
black and brown children get labeled very quickly and
They
easily.
do.
So I think it's important. I think that that time will help boost self-esteem and confidence, and
Yeah.
you really get to see your child shine.
Yeah. And for the moms who are listening, I really just want you to just take a moment to appreciate yourself and acknowledge your strength. Not in a sense like, oh, girl, you're so strong, but like, girl, you did it. You
Hmm.
made it. You survived. All the nights that you were crying because your kid is crying because they hate Zoom, or just trying to figure out how you're going to do everything, how you're going to make it, you did it.
Yeah,
And it's going to get better. And we're here for you because we've got your back. We're going through it just like you.
that's right.
Yeah. This has been a good, like, chill, just chit chat kind of episode. I like this. We're gonna have to do
Yeah.
mama check ins more early, mama chats.
I definitely like doing mama chats and just kind of, talking about things that aren't so clinical. We
Yes.
like the clinical stuff because we're huge nerds, but we also like the life piece because we're also family people, and
Yeah,
we love our friends, we love our family, and stuff like that's important. So
absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So, are we going on a little bit of a hiatus, Cece?
I don't even know, you guys. We're gonna figure out what we're doing because this was our first season. It was really fun. We hope you guys enjoyed it.
Exactly.
So we're gonna do some planning and see, but we definitely want to take a little break so that we can kind of focus on family, enjoy this time where there's
Yeah.
breaks coming up, people are graduating, Juneteenth is happening. Um,
Yeah.
so
I
we're
know
just
this isn't the platform to have this conversation because I'm just like,
this is our platform, so we can have whatever conversation we want.
it's
Does it
okay.
relate to brownness?
Oh, the da da da
Is it a
da.
melanated thing?
Yes.
Then
So
we can talk
like,
about it.
it's just irritating that people are like, oh, it's commemorating the end of slavery. And I'm like, except it's not. It's commemorating the fact that white people lied about the end of slavery for 2 years, and it took the Union soldiers to come and be like, damn, y'all still here? Y'all know y'all been free for like however long.
What?
No.
We don't have the internet. When did we
Right.
get free?
But I'm gonna take their symbols of what word I want to use, the symbol of diversity, equity, and inclusion when it systematically it's not there. But I'll take my paid day off, child. Whatever.
Yeah. I I have so many thoughts about this because I kind of feel like that's really cute that you guys are trying to
Ain't
do
it cute?
something.
Y'all tried. Y'all vaguely tried.
Right. What about actually doing something? So I'm gonna
That
leave it at that
anti-lynching
because
bill that's been on there that no one wants to vote on, that's fine.
I'm like, so there are things that I would love to say. That would have to be a show for another day, but that is also a reason why I am planning to homeschool my child because
Yeah.
I'm not like the type of person to be a complainer, but I'm also not the type of person to be so easily swayed by small movements, by small things. You know, I want to see you do something big. So if you're trying to get my attention, like this is great and all, but I was already celebrating this. I was already gonna take off. It just happened to fall on the weekend. So,
And
so
then
I just,
I just don't want it to turn into a Cinco de Mayo.
well, and then I was like, yeah, I was like, who celebrates this? Is
Okay
this
then.
I was like, whose day is this? Tell me for real. Like, I want to know whose
Okay.
day. Is it everybody's day, which is fine with me,
Should it be? Okay.
but it's like Cinco de Mayo. Like, I may go to a Cinco de Mayo party or do something like that, but I know that's not my day. That is somebody else's day. That is
And
about their
also,
culture.
the Mexicans don't even celebrate Cinco de Mayo. They look at Americans like, what are
They're
you
like, so you
doing?
just had a party to eat tacos? Yes, because we love tacos and we know aren't even your stuff because we made that up. But we're still going to eat them here. Like, there's
Listen,
just so
you
many things
gotta
that are
drink my
Americans are
margarita.
funny. Americans are so funny. They don't even know they're funny because we're so ignorant. And I say this to myself, including myself. We're so ignorant about things that we really think we know something. Like, oh, we're doing this for you, but we're not.
Like, are you
People
really?
don't often go back and look at the history, and then the history they teach us in school while
Yeah,
we're homeschooling
yeah.
is not even the truth. But
No,
anyway, so that's for a whole nother day because y'all know, like Sarah and I are trying to end this and not go down this path.
because
That's the only
look,
reason why
we'll
we aren't
fly down there in the quickness, and next thing you know, it's like mama chat about parenting slash everything that's been on their mind. So,
right.
please let us know in the comments below what you're looking forward to as things are opening up as a parent, as a mother,
Yeah.
kind of how you're gonna do things now that things are opening back up. You may notice new videos on YouTube. So we're gonna post these if you missed them live. We're gonna post them on YouTube. The audio is gonna be available in podcast form, and catch us in maybe 3 or 4 weeks. We'll be back more
I gotta
consistent.
fix my set. I said, what did I do? So when we get back, I'll have my set fixed. I was
Yes, and
like, oh,
hopefully
did I
I won't
run
need this background.
it? And you guys, just a reminder while we're away, number one thing, self-care. One thing
Yeah.
that I did start doing is I'm like, oh, I can go out somewhere and sit outside and like have a cup of tea or a cup of whatever. I don't really drink coffee, but I like to inhale it and just smell it. It smells good. But
I
don't
drink
forget
enough for both of us. It's so
you'll be my coffee and then I'll be the tea. But make sure you're
yes.
taking some time for yourself. We did an episode on self-care. Go back and take a look at that if you missed it.
Mhm.
And while we're gone, make sure you take some time for yourself because after this pandemic and having a lot of time not to yourself and being maybe in closer proximity to people, which to me makes me a little crazy. I need my space. But being in closer proximity to people than you're used to, now that you might be able to go out and sit outside and have a cup of coffee or whatever, take some me time. Make
Yeah.
sure that when you take your me time, someone is watching your little people, but
Yeah.
take some me time.
Yes, absolutely. I second that. And we will catch you guys on season 2 of the Holistic Brown Mamas podcast.
Like
It's
and
so good.
share, subscribe.
Yes, exactly. Share with other holistic brown mamas, even if they're not holistic yet. Share it with all the brown mamas, okay? Love you guys, and we will catch you soon. Take care.
Bye, guys.